What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm going to give my prediction for the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. But if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And by doing so, it greatly helps out my channel and it helps me grow as a content creator. This is a every year matchup against Georgia Tech and Georgia, and we'll read out some stats for the game. Of course, we all know Georgia Tech is a team that's been struggling for a while. Team just doesn't have the talent to go against a Georgia team, and they've been struggling, and so far they're 5-6 on the season, and Georgia once again is they're undefeated in the regular season. They're 11-0, and this is their last game for the regular season, and Georgia's number one team in the country right now, and they're doing really, really good. But this is an in-state rivalry game, and like anything, you have to throw out the stats, but history shows us that Georgia has been the better team. But I'm going to just read off the stats. Of course, Georgia has Stetson Bennett, really, really good quarterback, guys. He's thrown for 3,011 yards for 14 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The last couple of games, he kind of been struggling. They're coming off a real, struggle against Kentucky, but you don't know what you're going to get for him, in certain games, you don't know what to get. He's been kind of up and down, but when Stetson Bennett is on, he's on, and when he's off, he's off. But so far, he's doing a pretty good job, guys. Basically controls the offense and knows what to do when stuff break down, and all he does is win, guys. You can't knock him for that. He great quarterback. Kirby Smart loves him, and he does what he got to do to win Georgia, football games. So, really, really good guy. Done a phenomenal job. Like I said, thrown for 3,000 yards. That's really, really good, for a quarterback. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. And it's just not him, just the Georgia team as a whole. Like they always, every now and then get a turnover, but he's doing a phenomenal job for Georgia. Georgia Tech, on the other hand, they have Jeff Sims. He's thrown for 1,115 yards for 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's not good at this point in the season, only thrown for 1,000 yards. Stetson Bennett has a great advantage over him. And, if you're going by quarterback position, Stetson Bennett is way ahead, of Jeff Sims at the quarterback position. So, but you still have to go out there and play the games. Georgia at running back has Kenny McIntosh, a really, really good running back. He has 568 yards for 7 touchdowns. But this is Georgia, and they have a lot of running backs. They got Dejon Edwards. He has 547 yards on the season. And they also have Kendall Milton, and he has 364 yards on the season. So, and they also have another running back in Branson Robinson. He has 242. So all Georgia does is just, Georgia always going to pump out great running backs. So Georgia runs the ball very, very well, and they're really, really good, at running the ball. Georgia Tech has Hassan Hall. He's ran for 520 yards with 1 touchdown. So, like I said, Georgia Tech team just fired their coach, and they're, in a state where they're looking for their new head coach, and they're just trying to settle down and get, figure out who the next head coach is going to be and stuff like that. So, going up in this matchup, they're going to have their hands full against Georgia's running backs and just the whole offense as a general. And I forgot to mention Stetson Bennett can run the ball as well. He's really, really good. And I'll just read off his rushing stats. Yeah, Stetson Bennett, he's like the fifth. Yeah, he's the 5th rusher on the team, and he's rushed for 169 yards. So Stetson Bennett is definitely a guy you have to account for taking off a run every now and then as well. So, Georgia Tech has Nate McCullum at receiver, and he has 590 yards receptions with 3 touchdowns. But Georgia has Ladd McConkey. They have Brock Bowers, who's got 625 yards and 4 touchdowns as receptions. We look at Georgia's receivers. Yeah, brought by 625 yards. Lad McConkey, 606 yards. Darnell Washington, 392 yards. I mean, Dominic Blaylock, a guy that hasn't got too much playing time, but he has 184 yards on the season. So, like I said, Adonai Mitchell, they have a lot of guys. You know, Georgia's just loaded. They recruit with the best, and Georgia Tech gonna have their handfuls, you know, against a really, really good Georgia team. I'm looking at points per game. Georgia Tech is averaging just 17.5 points a game. Georgia's averaging 38.4. A huge advantage for Georgia. Points per game. Georgia Tech is giving up 27.6 points a game. Georgia's only giving up 11.1. Huge advantage for Georgia. Total yards, 332.5 for Georgia Tech. 496.3 for Georgia. Advantage again. Georgia's averaging 298 through the air. Like I said, Stetson Bennett has gotten significantly better from last season. 298 through the air and 197 on the ground for Georgia. So very, very balanced offense. Georgia Tech, 190 through the air and 142 on the ground. You would like to hit that sweet spot of 150 rushing yards a game, and Georgia Tech is just under that. It's going to be tough, though, going against this Georgia defense. Yards allowed, 401 for Georgia Tech. That's 218 through the air and 182 on the ground. Georgia, they're only giving up 272, 189 through the air and 83 on the ground. So Georgia Tech team that just averaging 17 points are going against, in my opinion, the best defense in the country right now. And they're going to have some tough sledding. Previous opponents, Georgia Tech, they lost to Virginia. Virginia's not a really good team this season. They lost to Florida State 41-16. You know, Florida State is getting better. Virginia Tech, they beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is very, very bad this season, but they beat them 28-17. 28-27. So they barely beat them by a point. Miami, they lost 34-14. Miami is horrible this season. I don't know what happened with Miami this season, but they beat North Carolina 21-17. You know, all these teams they beaten, you know, are not really, really good. And then they lost to some bad teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Georgia, on the other hand, like I said, undefeated. Beat Vanderbilt 55-0. They struggled early on in the season, but I think it was Kent State. They struggled with them, and they struggled with Missouri. But other than those two games, you know, that besides this one matchup, down for the matchup, they've been doing pretty good. Florida, they beat them 42-20. Tennessee, huge matchup against Tennessee was number one at the time, beat them 27-13. That score doesn't show exactly how dominant Georgia was against Tennessee. They just gave up a touchdown at the end, but Georgia had complete control of that game. Huge win for Georgia. They beat Mississippi State at their house, 45-19. Like I said, blew-out victory, but struggled on the road at Kentucky, 16-6. I don't know what happened to the Georgia offense that game. You got to give credit to Kentucky, though. They played a great defensive game, but it seemed like Stetson Bennett was off, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. When he's on, he's on, but when he's off, he's definitely off. So I'm looking at the point spread for the game, and of course they have it at minus 35.5. So Georgia is a massive, you know, favorite in this game, which I can understand. You know, like I said, Georgia Tech is not really a good team overall, and this game can get real ugly for them. If I had to give a prediction for the game, I'm gonna say definitely, of course, Georgia's winning this game. It's just, I think Georgia's going to name the score, basically. If I had to give a score, I'll say 45 to 3. You know, this game can get really, really ugly. I take that back. I'm not gonna say 45. I say 38-3. I'll say that 38-3. Um, yeah, I just don't see Georgia Tech win this game. This should be an easy win for Georgia. Georgia's just talented all the way across the board. Like I said, Georgia Tech is just a team. Like I said, they just lost their head coach, and just trying to find a way, to be competitive. Be able to be competitive, not only in the ACC, but be able to challenge Georgia. But Georgia's recruiting at a high level. Uh, Georgia Tech is definitely going to have to get somebody in there that can recruit really, really good. I've heard some rumors. I don't know how true it is. Maybe Deion Sanders may go there. I'm not sure, but they're definitely going to need some help. But this should be an easy victory for Georgia, and preparing them to get ready for the SEC championship, against LSU. And I imagine Georgia's going to play a lot of guys, to get them, ready for the championship game against LSU. But like I said, 38-3. But that's my opinion on the game, and that's my thoughts. What you guys think, leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And once again, guys, if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll definitely be back with more college football content. Thanks, guys, and roll tide.